Hey everyone, hope you're doing great. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll dive into what if Naruto fought Thanos alone while the world doubted him. Smash that subscribe button, and be sure to peek at the description below. Let's begin. The era of peace was a heavy blanket. It was warm, comfortable, and suffocating in its own quiet way. Naruto Uzumaki, the 7th Hokage of Konohagakure, sat slumped behind a desk that seemed to generate paper faster than he could sign it. The late afternoon sun filtered through the large circular windows of the Hokage's office, casting long, golden beams across the stacks of mission reports, budget allocations for the Scientific Ninja Tool Division, and diplomatic scrolls from the Land of Lightning. He sighed, the sound vibrating deep in his chest. It was a sound of contentment, mostly, but edged with the restlessness of a warrior who had run out of wars. If you sigh any louder, you're going to blow the paperwork off the desk, and I'm not picking it up, Shikamaru Nara drawled from the corner. The Hokage's advisor was leaning against the wall, eyes half closed, looking as though he were barely awake. Yet Naruto knew that Shikamaru's mind was, as always, running a dozen simulations of the village's logistics. It's just quiet, Shikamaru, Naruto muttered, twirling a pen between his calloused fingers. Boruto is off on a C-rank mission, Himawari is at the academy, and Sasuke hasn't checked in for 3 weeks. The biggest crisis I have today is a dispute over zoning laws for the new Thunder Burger franchise. Peace is boring, Naruto. That's the point, Shikamaru replied, finally opening his eyes. Boring means nobody is dying. Boring means the graveyards stay empty. You fought a god so we could have boring. Naruto smiled, a soft, weary expression that didn't quite reach his blue eyes. I know. And I'd fight her again to keep it this way. It's just, I possess the chakra of all 9-tailed beasts, I'm a sage of 6 paths, and my greatest opponent right now is a cramp in my right hand. Tragic, Shikamaru deadpanned. He pushed off the wall and walked over, dropping another stack of files onto the desk. Sign these. The daimyo wants an update on the barrier maintenance, Naruto groaned, dipping his pen into the inkwell. The scratching sound of the nib against parchment filled the room, a rhythmic testament to the mundane stability of the elemental nations. Deep within the seal on Naruto's stomach, a massive eye snapped open. Naruto. The voice wasn't a sound. It was a vibration that rattled Naruto's very soul. It wasn't the usual grumpy rouse of Kurama waking up from a nap. There was an edge to the fox's voice, a sharpness that Naruto hadn't heard since the war against Kaguya. Naruto froze, the pen hovering over the paper. What is it, Kurama? You hungry? Look up, Kurama commanded, ignoring the banter. Something is touching the sky. Something wrong. Naruto dropped the pen. The ink splattered across the daimyo's request, but he didn't care. He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floorboards. Naruto? Shikamaru asked, instantly alert. His posture shifted from lazy to lethal in a heartbeat. What's wrong? Something's coming, Naruto whispered. He walked to the window, his blue eyes shifting into the slit pupils of the fox, the golden pigmentation of sage mode bleeding around his eyelids without him even summoning it. He looked up. The sky above Konoha was a brilliant, cloudless azure. Birds were circling the Hokage monument. The village below was a bustle of life, vendors shouting prices, children running through the streets, the hum of the electric trains connecting the districts. But Naruto felt it. It started as a prickle at the base of his neck, then expanded into a crushing pressure that wasn't chakra. It wasn't nature energy either. It was a void, a heavy, metallic silence that was pressing down on the atmosphere of the entire planet. I don't see anything, Shikamaru said, stepping up beside him, his eyes scanning the horizon. It's not here yet, Naruto said, his voice dropping an octave. But it's heavy. It feels like the moon is falling again. Then, the sky broke. It didn't crack like glass. It burned. High above the atmosphere, the blue barrier of the sky turned a violent, bruised purple. The clouds instantly evaporated, flash-boiled by an entry velocity that defied physics. A sound followed, a deep, resonant thrum that shook the teeth in Naruto's skull. It was the sound of air being displaced by something the size of a city. What the hell is that? Shikamaru breathed, his shadow stretching out reflexively. Descending through the burning upper atmosphere was a ship. But to call it a ship felt inadequate. It was a monolith, a massive, Q-shaped vessel, dark gray and blue, bristling with engines that burned with a cold, artificial light. It was Sanctuary 2, the flagship of the Mad Titan, though the shinobi of Earth had no name for it yet. It was colossal. As it breached the cloud layer, its shadow engulfed the entire village of Konoha. The sunlight was snuffed out, replaced by the eerie, mechanical glow of the ship's underbelly. The sheer displacement of air caused a shockwave that rattled the windows of the Hokage Tower, shattering the glass of the lower floors. Down in the streets, the screaming started. Sound the alarm! Naruto roared, the command enhanced by chakra, booming across the village. Code Red. Civilians to the shelters. Jonin, establish a perimeter. Get the barrier team online, now! Shikamaru was already moving, his headset on. Ino! Connect me to the barrier division! We have an unidentified object entering airspace directly over the village. This is not a drill. Naruto didn't wait. He kicked the window frame out and leaped, the wind whipping his Hokage cloak violently around him. He landed on the roof of the tower, staring up at the Leviathan that now hovered silently over his home. It was simply hovering. There were no weapons firing, no chakra signatures flaring. Just a terrifying, monolithic presence that made the great-tailed beast seem small by comparison. I don't like this, Naruto, Kurama growled, his chakra flooding Naruto's system, ready for war. That thing, it has no chakra. It's dead metal. But the energy inside it, it's old. Ancient. Is it Otsutsuki? Naruto asked aloud, clenching his fists. No, Kurama replied. The Otsutsuki feel like parasites. This feels like inevitability. The border of the land of lightning, 3,000 miles away, on the jagged peaks of the Kumogakure border, Darui, the 5th Raikage, was conducting a routine inspection of the northern outposts. The air here was thin and cold, usually filled with the crackle of static electricity from the thunderclouds. Today, the sky was clear. Until the pillars fell. They didn't see a ship like Konoha did. They saw drop pods. Massive, tetrahedron-shaped structures slammed into the mountain ranges with the force of meteors. The impact threw Darui off his feet, sending boulders the size of houses tumbling into the valleys below. Report! Darui shouted, scrambling up, lightning crackling around his body in his black lightning armor. Impact sites at sectors 4, 5, and 6. A Kumo-sensory ninja screamed, blood trickling from his ears from the sonic boom. Raikage-sama, I'm sensing nothing. No chakra. Just biological masses, thousands of them. From the smoking craters of the drop pods, the doors hissed open. They poured out like oil. The Outriders? Creatures with 4 arms, gnashing teeth, and no sense of self-preservation. They didn't run, they scrambled, a tide of black flesh and claws tearing across the rocky terrain. Attack! Darui ordered. Laser circus. He wove signs with blinding speed, unleashing a storm of guided laser beams that cut through the first wave. The beams sliced through the creatures, cauterizing flesh instantly. But for every 10 he killed, 15 more climbed over the corpses. Earth-style, mud wall. A squad of Iwanin, who had been part of a joint patrol, slammed their hands onto the ground. A massive wall of rock rose up. The Outriders didn't stop. They didn't use jutsu to break the wall. They simply threw their bodies against it, clawing, biting, piling atop one another until they spilled over the top like water. They have no strategy. Darui realized with horror as he decapitated one with his cleaver sword. They're just biological weapons. Then, the sky darkened. Descending from a smaller craft that hovered above the massacre was a figure. He was huge, hulking, with skin like rough stone and a massive mechanical hammer. Cull Obsidian. He landed in the middle of a squad of Kumo Jonin. Lightning style, false darkness. 3 Jonin shouted in unison, unleashing spears of high-voltage lightning. The alien didn't even dodge. The lightning struck his armor and dissipated harmlessly, absorbed by the strange material. With a grunt that sounded like grinding rocks, Cull Obsidian swung his hammer. The force of the swing created a vacuum wave that pulverized the 3 Jonin instantly. There was no blood, just a mist of red where men had stood a second ago. Darui's eyes widened. Impossible. The creature turned to look at the wreckage. It grinned, revealing jagged teeth. Darui moved. He was one of the fastest ninja alive. He channeled his black lightning, turning himself into a bolt of destruction. He aimed for the creature's neck. Clang! Cull Obsidian caught Darui's blade. With one hand, the shockwave of the stop cracked the ground beneath them. Darui strained, pouring every ounce of chakra he had into the blade, trying to cut through the alien skin. The creature didn't flinch. He simply twisted his wrist. The massive cleaver sword, a legendary weapon of the Cloud Village, shattered. Cull Obsidian backhanded Darui. The wreckage flew backward, smashing through 3 distinct rock formations before embedding himself into the side of a cliff. He gasped, coughing up blood, his ribs shattered. As his vision blurred, he saw the black tide of creatures overrunning his men. The screams were silenced quickly. This wasn't a battle. It was an extermination. Kanahigakur, the Hokage's roof. The silence in Konoha was broken by a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It was a voice, calm, eloquent, and terrifyingly polite. Hear me, and rejoice. The voice echoed through the streets, projected by technology that bypassed the village's sensory barriers entirely. Sasuke Uchiha appeared in a swirl of purple lightning next to Naruto. His Rinnegan was active, spinning wildly as he analyzed the ship above. It's not a genjutsu, Sasuke said, his voice tight. There's no chakra fluctuation. They're projecting sound directly into the atmosphere. You have had the privilege of being saved by the Great Titan, the voice continued. A beam of blue light shot down from the underbelly of the ship. It struck the ground in the open plaza in front of the Hokage Tower. The light didn't burn, it transported. As the particles faded, 4 figures stood revealed. The Black Order. Ebony Maw floated slightly above the ground, his hands clasped behind his back like a twisted priest. Beside him stood Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive, and a massive brute that looked similar to the one decimating the cloud border. Naruto and Sasuke leaped down, landing between the invaders and the terrified villagers who were frozen in the streets. Sakura, Lee, and Kakashi landed seconds later, forming a defensive line. Stay back! Naruto ordered his friends. These guys, their presence is monstrous. Ebony Maw drifted forward, ignoring the legendary shinobi as if they were insects. He looked around the village with a sneer of distaste. Primitive, Maw muttered. But the energy signature is unmistakable. He turned his gaze to Naruto. Or rather, he looked through Naruto, directly at the seal on his stomach. Greetings, Maw said, his voice oily and smooth. I am Ebony Maw. We are the children of Thanos. I don't care who you are, Naruto said, his voice low and dangerous. He stepped forward, the orange pigmentation of the sage mode deepening. Get your ship out of my sky. Now, Maw smiled, a thin, cruel expression. So much spirit. It is a pity it must be extinguished. We have not come for your planet, little creature. We have come for the ether. The ether? Sasuke questioned, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. The reality stone, Maw clarified. One of the 6 singularities that predate the universe. Our sensors indicate that its essence is hidden on this world. Specifically, inside of you. Maw pointed a long, gray finger at Naruto. Naruto frowned. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a Jinchuriki. I hold the 9-tailed fox. I don't have any stone. Naruto, Kurama's voice cut in, urgent and terrified. He's telling the truth. What? Naruto thought, his mental guards slipping. The old man. Hagoromo, Kurama explained rapidly. When he used the creation of all things technique to split the 10 tails, he didn't just use chakra. He used a catalyst. He found a red, fluid stone that could turn imagination into reality. He used it to give form to our chakra. To give us life. Naruto felt a chill run down his spine. You mean, the core of my being, Kurama said? The thing that allows tailed beasts to respawn if we die. The thing that makes our chakra infinite? It's this ether. It's fused to my soul, Naruto. If they take it, you die, Naruto finished the thought. And if you die, I see the realization in your eyes, Maw said, drifting closer. The beast within you is merely a shell. A vessel constructed to house the reality stone. My master, Thanos, requires it. Requires it for what? Kakashi asked, stepping forward, his Sharingan, if he still had it, or his sharp intellect, analyzing the situation. You invade our world, threaten our leader, for a stone? To bring balance, Ma said reverently. The universe is finite, its resources finite. If life is left unchecked, life will cease to exist. It needs correction. Genocide, Sasuke spat. You're talking about wiping out populations. Random. Dispassionate. Fair to rich and poor alike, Ma corrected. When the Titan has all 6 stones, he will simply snap his fingers. And half of all life in the universe will cease to exist. The remaining half will thrive. The silence that followed was heavy. The sheer scale of the madness was hard to comprehend. Half the universe. You're insane, Naruto said, his chakra flaring. A golden aura exploded around him, the cloak of the 6 paths forming instantly. If you think I'm going to let you touch a single person in this village, you're dead wrong. Ma sighed, looking disappointed. A predictable response. But we anticipated resistance. That is why we have already taken the liberty of demonstrating the consequences of defiance. Ma raised his hand. The air above the plaza shimmered, forming a massive holographic projection. The image showed the land of lightning. Or what was left of it. The cloud village was burning. The great mountains were shattered. But the camera focused on a specific scene. The Reikage Darui was on his knees, bloodied and broken. A boot was pressed against his chest. Surrender the Jinchuriki. Ma's voice boomed from the projection, though his lips and Konoha didn't move. Surrender the stone. If you do, your planet will be spared the culling. We will take the stone and leave. The boy will die, yes. But billions will live. The image shifted. It showed the stone village. Then the mist. Massive ships were descending over every major capital. Refuse, Ma continued, and we will scour this rock until nothing remains but dust. We will strip the stone from his corpse, and then we will balance this world manually. By the time we are done, half of your humanity will be gone. The projection faded. Ma lowered his hand. You have 1 hour. Discuss it amongst your leaders. Bring the boy to the ship. Or watch your world burn. With a hum of telekinetic power, Ma and the Black Order dissolved into blue light and shot back up to the ship. Naruto stood there, the golden aura flickering. The silence in the plaza was deafening. He could feel the eyes on him. Hundreds of villagers. Ninja he had grown up with. They weren't looking at him with admiration. They were looking at him with fear. The war room, 20 minutes later. The atmosphere in the intelligence division was suffocating. The sensory transmission link connected the 5 Kage, but the usual camaraderie was gone, replaced by panic and desperation. They wiped out my northern battalion in 3 minutes. The Tsuchikage, Kuratsuchi, shouted, her voice trembling. My dust release didn't even scratch their armor. What are these things? My village is burning, Chojuro, the Mizukage, whispered. He looked young, too young for this. They have ships over the harbor. They told us if we surrender Naruto, they leave. We cannot give in to terrorists. Gaara, the Kazekage, said firmly. His face was stoic, but his sand was swirling agitatedly around his feet. If we give them this power, they will use it to kill half the universe. That includes us. We are dead anyway if we fight. Darui's voice crackled over the link. He was being treated by medics, his image flickering. You didn't see them, Gaara. Ninjutsu. It doesn't work. They absorb it. They crush it. And that was just the foot soldiers. The big one. He broke my sword like it was a twig. Darui, Naruto said, his voice quiet. He was standing at the head of the table and Konoha, Sasuke and Shikamaru behind him. I can fight them. Kurama and I. You can fight them? Kuratsuchi cut him off, her eyes wide with hysteria. Did you see the ship? It's the size of a country. And they have them over every village. You might be able to fight, Naruto. You're a demigod. But what about us? What about my civilians? We don't trade lives, Naruto said, repeating the words he had lived by. We protect everyone. That's a nice slogan for a manga, Naruto, the daimyo of the Land of Fire chimed in. The feudal lords were on the line now, huddled in their safe bunkers. But this is simple math. One life for billions. You are the Hokage. Your duty is to the village. To the world. The greatest act of a shinobi is self-sacrifice, is it not? Naruto flinched as if slapped. He looked at the holographic faces of the people he considered friends. Kuratsuchi wouldn't meet his eyes. Chojuro was looking down. Even Darui, the man who had fought beside him against Momoshiki, looked conflicted. You're considering it, Naruto whispered. You're actually considering handing me over. We are talking about extinction, Naruto. The fire daimyo shouted. If you surrender, the aliens leave. We survive. If you fight, we all die, and they take the stone anyway. It is the only logical choice. I won't let you do it, Gaara said, his voice rising. I will bring the sand village to Konoha. We will stand with Naruto. And doom your people? Kuratsuchi snapped. If you side with him, the aliens will target you first. Neutrality is our only shield right now. If we declare we are not protecting him, maybe they will spare us. The room went cold. Neutrality? Naruto repeated. You're kicking Konoha out of the alliance? We have no choice. Darui yelled, pain evident in his voice. I have to save my village, Naruto. I'm sorry. One by one, the connections cut. The stone. The mist. The cloud. Only Gaara remained. Naruto, Gaara said softly. I will come. No, Naruto said. He looked down at his hands. They were trembling. Not from fear, but from rage. No, Gaara. Stay in Suna. Protect your people. If you come here, they'll kill everyone you love. But, that's an order, Kazekage, Naruto said, his voice cracking slightly. Gaara stared at him for a long moment, pain in his teal eyes. I'm sorry, my friend. The connection cut. Naruto stood in the silence of the war room. Shikamaru slammed his fist into the wall, cracking the plaster. Cowards! Shikamaru hissed. After everything you did for them. After you saved the world, they throw you to the wolves the second it gets hard. They're scared, Shikamaru, Naruto said softly. Fear makes people do stupid things. What do we do? Sasuke asked. He was leaning against the corner, his face unreadable, but his chakra was dark and volatile. We can't fight an army of that size and protect the village at the same time, not if the other nations are standing down. Naruto closed his eyes. He went deep inside, facing the fox. Kurama. Is there a way to remove the ether without killing you? No, Kurama said bluntly. It is my essence. You extract it, I fade. And since you are my Jinchuriki, if I go, you go. Right. So surrender is a death sentence. It's worse than that, Kurama growled. If that purple bastard gets the reality stone, he'll have two. He already has the power stone. I can sense its signature on him. With reality and power, he can reshape the universe. We can't let him have it. Even if we have to burn this world to ash to stop him. Naruto opened his eyes. The resolve in them was harder than diamond. Sasuke, Naruto said. Yeah? Take Hinata. Take Himawari and Boruto. Take Sakura and Sarada. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. And go where? One of Kagaya's dimensions. Somewhere he can't find them. You want me to run? Sasuke asked, his voice dangerous. I'm the only one who can fight beside you. You're the only one who can protect them, Naruto corrected. He turned to face his rival, his brother. If I fight this guy, I can't hold back. I can't be worrying about collateral damage. I can't be looking over my shoulder to see if Hima is safe. I'm not leaving you to die, loser, Sasuke said. I'm not planning on dying, Naruto said. He reached out and grabbed Sasuke's shoulder. But I need to know they are safe. Please, Sasuke. This isn't a fight for a village anymore. It's for everything. Sasuke stared at him, searching for any sign of hesitation. He found none. He let out a sharp breath, frustration radiating off him. I'll take them, Sasuke said. But once they are safe, I'm coming back. And if you're dead when I get back, I'll kill you again. Deal? Naruto managed a small grin. He turned to Shikamaru. Evacuate the village. Get everyone to the shelters in the mountain. The deep ones? Tell the Umbu to collapse the tunnels behind them if they have to. Naruto, Shikamaru's voice shook. You can't fight an entire alien armada alone. Naruto walked to the window. The massive ship was still there, a sword of Damocles hanging over his life. The hour was almost up. He reached up and tightened his headband. The metal plate glinted in the gloom. I'm not alone, Naruto said, his eyes flashing red as Kurama's chakra began to bleed out, forming a bubbling, corrosive cloak. I have the strongest partner in the universe. He looked out at the village that was currently paralyzed with fear, the village where people were whispering that he should surrender, that he should die to save them. He could hear their doubts carried on the wind. He's just one man. Why won't he give it up? He's being selfish. Naruto's heart clenched, but he didn't falter. Let them doubt, Naruto whispered to the glass. I'll save them anyway. He opened the window and stepped out onto the ledge. Kurama, he said. Yeah? Let's break the sky. Naruto bent his knees, the concrete cracking beneath his sandals. With a sonic boom that shattered every window in the Hokage Tower, he launched himself upward. He wasn't aiming for the ship. He was aiming for the space between the village and the enemy. He hovered in the air, floating on pure chakra. He crossed his fingers. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Poof. 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 The sky was suddenly filled with orange. Not dozens. Not hundreds. 10,000 Narutos appeared in the air, forming a living shield dome over Konoha. 10,000 pairs of eyes stared up at the spaceship. 10,000 hands formed Razengans. On the bridge of Sanctuary 2, Ebony Maw watched the screen. His eyes narrowed. The creature refuses, Ma said. Thanos sat on his throne, his golden armor gleaming in the dim light. He looked at the screen, at the swarm of golden lights defying his armada. He saw the lone figure in the center, burning like a sun. Thanos smiled. It wasn't a cruel smile. It was a smile of respect. Good, Thanos said deeply, his voice rumbling like an earthquake. The stone requires a strong will. This will be fun. He raised his hand, the purple power stone glowing on the infinity gauntlet. Send the Outriders, Thanos commanded. Send the Black Order. Break him. Above Konoha, the belly of the ship opened. Thousands of drop pods fell like rain. Naruto Uzumaki, the boy of miracles, the hero of the hidden leaf, the orange Hokage, took a deep breath. The world had turned its back on him. His allies had fled. His family was hiding in another dimension. He was completely, utterly alone against the infinite dark. Come and get it! 10,000 Narutos roared in unison. The war for reality had begun. The air in the Intelligence Division's central chamber was cold, kept at a low temperature to cool the massive servers and sensory transmission equipment. But the chill that settled into Naruto Uzumaki's bones had nothing to do with the air conditioning. The 1-hour deadline hung over the room like a guillotine blade, suspended by a fraying thread. Ino Yamanaka sat in the center of the sensory sphere, her face pale, sweat beading on her forehead. The sensory transmission jutsu she was maintaining was usually reserved for tactical updates, brief and efficient. Today, it was bridging the psychic gap between 5 nations that were currently staring into the abyss. The connection is stable, Ino whispered, her voice tight. All Kage are present. The feudal lords have also been patched in via secure audio feed. Naruto stood at the head of the tactical table. To his right stood Shikamaru, his shadow restless, flickering against the floorboards. To his left, Sasuke Uchiha leaned against the pillar, his arms crossed, his Rinnegan deactivated but his eyes sharp as obsidian. Put them on, Naruto said. His voice was steady, but his heart was hammering a frantic rhythm against his ribs. The room darkened, and the holographic projections of the other 4 Kage flickered into existence around the table. The first thing Naruto noticed was the silence. Usually, a summit began with greetings, however curt. Today, there was only the heavy breathing of terrified leaders. Darui, the 5th Raikage, looked like a ghost of the man Naruto knew. He was seated in a field hospital tent. The background was a blur of medical ninja rushing past with stretchers. Darui's left arm was in a sling, and bandages were wrapped tightly around his chest. But it was his eyes that shook Naruto. The Raikage, a man who had laughed in the face of the Gold and Silver brothers, looked broken. Kuratsuchi, the 4th Tsuchikage, was seated in her office, but the window behind her showed smoke plumes rising from the Awagakure outer perimeter. She was gripping her desk so hard her knuckles were white. Chojuro, the sixth Mizukage, looked down at his hands, refusing to meet anyone's gaze. Only Gaara, the Kazekage, met Naruto's eyes. He sat stoically in the sand council room, his face unreadable, though the sand in the gourd on his back was shifting with a low, agitated hiss. "We don't have time for pleasantries," Kuratsuchi started, her voice shrill, lacking its usual confident grit. "You heard the demand. You saw what they did." "We saw," Shikamaru answered for Naruto. "Sanctuary 2 is hovering over our village right now. We have less than 40 minutes. Then we need to decide how we are going to facilitate the transfer." The Fire Daimyo's voice crackled over the audio feed. The feudal lords were not visible, hiding in their reinforced bunkers, but their authority echoed loudly in the room. Naruto felt his stomach drop. "Transfer?" "The surrender," the Earth Daimyo clarified, his tone clipped. The alien entity, Ebony Maw, was quite clear. "They want the stone inside you. If they get it, they leave. If they don't, they liquidate half the planet." "We are not surrendering," Naruto said, his voice low but carrying the rumble of the fox. "We don't trade lives. That's not how the Alliance works." "The Alliance is dead, Naruto," Kuratsuchi snapped, slamming her hand onto her desk. "Look at us. My northern battalion was wiped out in 3 minutes. 3 minutes, my dust release, it didn't even scratch them. They have technology and biology we can't comprehend. We are ants fighting a boot." "Kuratsuchi," Gaara interjected calmly, though his voice was tight. "Panic will not save us. We faced Kaguya. We faced Madara. We have faced the end of the world before. This isn't Madara," Darui shouted, wincing as the movement agitated his broken ribs. "Madara wanted to trap us in a dream. Kaguya wanted her chakra back. This Thanos, he wants death. Industrialized, efficient death. I fought the big one, Cull Obsidian. I hit him with everything I had. Black lightning. Storm release. He caught my blade with his bare hand and snapped it. I am the fastest man alive with the Reikage cloak, and he swatted me like a fly." Darui paused, his breath hitching. "If we fight, we die. All of us. And they take the stone anyway. So your solution is to hand over the Hokage?" Sasuke spoke up, his voice cutting through the panic like a cold wind. "You want to give Thanos the reality stone? Do you understand what that does? It controls the very fabric of existence. If he gets it, and he already has the power stone, surrender won't save you. He'll reshape the universe however he sees fit. He said he would spare the planet," Chojuro whispered, finally looking up. His eyes were red-rimmed. "He said he only wants the balance. If we give him the stone, he leaves Earth alone." "And you believe him?" Shikamaru asked incredulously. "He's a genocidal warlord, Chojuro. You're going to trust the word of a man who calls himself the Mad Titan?" "We have no choice," Chojuro cried out. "Kirigakure is a collection of islands. His ships are positioned to create tidal waves that will drown my entire civilization in seconds. I have to think of my people, Shikamaru. I am a Kage. My duty is to the many, not the one." The room fell silent. The utilitarian argument hung heavy in the air. One life. Just one life. Naruto looked at the faces of his friends. He had fought beside them. He had shared chakra with them. He had saved them, and they had saved him. But now, fear had eroded the bonds of the Shinobi Alliance. "I am the Jinchuriki of the Ninetales," Naruto said softly. "The stone is fused to Kurama. To extract it means I die. You know this." "We know," the Lightning Daimyo said. "And your sacrifice will be honored for eternity. Statues will be built. Songs will be sung. You will be the savior of the world, Lord Seventh. By dying you save billions." "I don't care about statues," Naruto said, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. "And I don't care about songs. I care about the precedent. If we bow to this, if we let fear dictate who lives and who dies, then we are already defeated. What happens when he comes back? What happens when another threat comes and asks for Sasuke? Or Gaara? Or your children?" There is no next time if we are all dead in 30 minutes. Kuratsuchi yelled. Naruto, please. Stop being a hero for 1 second and be a leader. A leader makes the hard calls. A leader sacrifices himself for his village. I would die for my village in a heartbeat. Naruto roared, his chakra flaring, shaking the sensory connection. I would jump in front of a tailed beast bomb for any of you. But this isn't sacrifice. This is slaughter. This is feeding a monster and hoping he eats you last. I will not give him the weapon he needs to kill half the universe. I will not. Then you stand alone, the Earth Daimyo stated coldly. Naruto froze. What? The land of Earth officially declares neutrality in this conflict, the Earth Daimyo announced. We accept the terms of the Black Order. We will not harbor the Jinchuriki. We will not aid Konoha. We are signaling our surrender to the invaders immediately. Lord Daimyo. Kuratsuchi gasped, looking torn. We can't just. Silence, Tsuchikage, the Daimyo ordered. This is a decree. Stand down your forces. The land of lightning follows suit, the lightning Daimyo added. We cannot win this fight. We choose survival. Reikage, order your troops to stand down. Darui closed his eyes, a single tear tracking through the dust on his face. Understood, he whispered. I'm sorry, Naruto. The land of water, agrees, the water Daimyo said. Chojuro slumped in his chair, looking defeated. One by one, the lights on the map of the elemental nations turned from green to red. The alliance, the beautiful unity that had ended the Fourth Great Ninja War, was fracturing in real time. Gaara? Naruto asked, looking at the last screen. The Kazekage sat motionless. The Wind Daimyo began to speak. The land of wind will also. The land of wind, Gaara interrupted, his voice like grinding stones, will stand with the Hokage. You dare defy me, Kazekage? The Wind Daimyo sputtered. I am the leader of the hidden sand, Gaara said, his eyes narrowing. I remember a time when fear made me a monster. I remember who pulled me out of the darkness. I remember who taught us that bonds are stronger than fear. If Naruto fights, I fight. If Suna burns, we burn standing up. You will doom us all. The Wind Daimyo shrieked. I relieve you of command. I order the sand forces to. My shinobi follow me, Gaara said coldly. He looked at Naruto. I am mobilizing the puppet brigade and the aerial division. We will be there in 2 hours. No, Naruto said. The room went quiet again. Gaara looked confused. Naruto? Stay away, Gaara, Naruto said, his voice trembling with suppressed emotion. If you come here, Thanos will see it as a breach of the deal by the other nations. He'll destroy Suna just to make a point. I can't have your blood on my hands too. I am not asking for permission, Gaara argued. As the leader of the alliance, what's left of it? I am ordering you, Naruto said firmly. Secure your borders. Protect your people. If I fail, if I die, you're the only one left who can lead the resistance. Don't throw that away. Gaara stared at him for a long, agonizing moment. He understood the logic. He hated it. You are a fool, Gaara whispered, his voice thick with grief. But you are my friend. Goodbye, Gaara, Naruto said. He looked at the other screens. At the men and women he had called comrades. I don't blame you, Naruto lied. He blamed them. He blamed them for their fear, even though he understood it. Do what you have to do to survive. Konoha stands alone. Naruto, Darui started. Cut the feed, Naruto ordered Ino. But, cut it! The holograms vanished. The room plunged back into semi-darkness. The silence that followed was heavier than before. It was the silence of a tomb. Shikamaru slowly sat down in a chair, putting his head in his hands. It's over. Diplomatic isolation. We're rogue states now. The world just declared us the enemy of peace. They're scared, Sasuke said, pushing off the pillar. Panic makes people predictable. What do we do, Naruto? Shikamaru asked, looking up. The barrier team says the ships are lowering altitude. The civilians are panicking. Rumors are spreading that the other nations have surrendered. People are starting to ask why we haven't. Naruto walked to the window. He could see the panic in the streets below. People were running, clutching their children. He could see the anger in some faces. people looking up at the Hokage Tower not with hope, but with resentment. Why won't he just give himself up? Does he want us to die? He could hear the whispers even if they weren't spoken aloud. Shikamaru, Naruto said, his back to the room. Continue the evacuation. Get everyone into the shelter beneath the memorial stone. It's the deepest point. And you? I'm going home, Naruto said. I have to say goodbye. The Uzumaki household. The walk to his house felt like a funeral procession. Naruto moved through the back alleys, avoiding the main streets. He wore a hooded cloak over his Hokage Haori to avoid being recognized. He didn't want to see the accusation in the eyes of the ramen shop owner or the florist. When he opened the door to his home, the smell of dinner hit him. Hinata was cooking. It was a surreal slice of normalcy amidst the apocalypse. Hinata was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables with a mechanical precision that betrayed her anxiety. Himawari was sitting at the table, clutching a stuffed panda, her eyes wide and wet. Boruto was pacing the living room, his headband tied tightly around his forehead. When Naruto entered, the motion stopped. Dad! Boruto rushed forward. Is it true? Are the other villages really bowing down to these aliens? Are we fighting? Naruto caught Boruto by the shoulders. His son was almost as tall as him now. He looked so much like him, yet he had Sasuke's sharp mind and Hinata's gentle heart. Boruto, Naruto said gently. Listen to me. I'm ready. Boruto insisted, pulling a kunai. I've been training with Sasuke-sensei. I can help. We can take them. No, Naruto said. The word was soft, but it slammed the door on Boruto's enthusiasm. What? Why? Boruto pulled back. You can't fight an army alone. That's stupid. That's suicide. Boruto, Hinata spoke up. She wiped her hands on her apron and walked over. Her Byakugan was deactivated, but her eyes were piercing. She looked at Naruto, and he saw that she already knew. She had always known. Naruto-kun, she whispered. What is the plan? Naruto looked at his wife. He reached out and cupped her face. Her skin was warm. I need you to go. Go? Boruto frowned. Go where? The shelters? Further, Naruto said. He looked over Boruto's shoulder. Sasuke. The air shimmered in the living room, and Sasuke Uchiha stepped out of a portal. He looked out of place in the cozy domestic setting, a harbinger of the harsh reality outside. Is the portal ready? Naruto asked. Yes, Sasuke nodded. One of Kagaya's ice dimensions. It's desolate, but the atmosphere is breathable. And more importantly, its coordinates are encrypted. The space stone can't lock onto it unless the user knows exactly where to look. You want us to hide? Boruto yelled, his face flushing with anger. Run away? Like cowards? While you stay here and die? It's not cowardice, Boruto, Naruto said, his voice firming. It's the mission. Screw the mission. Boruto shouted. Tears pricked his eyes. I'm a shinobi. I'm a member of Team 7. I don't run. You are my son. Naruto roared back, the sudden volume making Himawari flinch. Naruto immediately softened, his shoulders sagging. You are my son, and right now, the most important thing in the world to me is that you live. He knelt down in front of Himawari. She was trembling. Hima, Naruto said softly, brushing a tear from her cheek with his thumb. Do you remember when I told you about the will of fire? Himawari nodded, sniffing. That we protect the king. That's right, Naruto smiled sadly. And do you remember who the king is? The children, she whispered. The future. Exactly, Naruto kissed her forehead. You are the king, Hima. You and Boruto. If the king falls, the game is over. I can fight with everything I have, but only if I know my king is safe. Can you be strong for me? Can you go with Uncle Sasuke and keep everyone brave? Himawari threw her arms around his neck, burying her face in his shoulder. I don't want you to go, Daddy. Please don't go. Naruto held her tight, breathing in the scent of her shampoo. It broke his heart more than any physical blow ever could. I love you, Hima. More than anything. He stood up and turned to Boruto. His son was shaking, fists clenched at his sides, tears streaming freely now. Naruto reached into his pouch and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. He unfolded it. It was his old forehead protector, the one Jiraiya had given him. The one Sasuke had scratched. Take it, Naruto said, pressing it into Boruto's hand. Dad, keep it safe for me, Naruto said. Consider it collateral. I'll come back for it. I promise. Boruto looked at the scratched metal, then up at his father. He saw the truth in Naruto's eyes. This wasn't a promise Naruto could guarantee. But he nodded anyway, choking back a sob. You better, or I'll never forgive you. Finally, Naruto turned to Hinata. She wasn't crying. She was the heiress of the Hyuga, and she was the wife of the Hokage. She stood tall, though her lip quivered slightly. I could stay, she said softly. I could fight by your side. Like against pain. I know you could, Naruto said. You're strong, Hinata. Stronger than me in the ways that count. But I need you with them. Sasuke needs to focus on the perimeter of the dimension. He can't watch them every second. They need their mother. Hinata stepped forward and hugged him. It was a fierce, desperate embrace. She pressed her face into his chest, listening to the powerful, rhythmic beat of his heart. Come back to me, she whispered into his vest. Don't you dare leave me a widow, Naruto Uzumaki. I'm too stubborn to die, Naruto whispered back, kissing the top of her head. He pulled away. It was the hardest thing he had ever done. Harder than fighting Kaguya. Harder than losing Jiraiya. Sasuke, Naruto said, not looking back. Go. Sasuke opened the portal. It was a swirling vortex of black and purple. Sarada and Sakura are already waiting on the other side, Sasuke said. He looked at Naruto. There was a silent exchange between them, a lifetime of rivalry and brotherhood compressed into a single nod. Protect them, Naruto's eyes said. I will, Sasuke's eyes answered. And then I'm coming back for you. Sasuke ushered Hinata and the children through the portal. Himawari looked back one last time, her hand reaching out, before the darkness swallowed them. The portal closed with a snap. The living room was empty. The silence was absolute. Naruto stood there for a long time. He looked at the half-chopped vegetables on the counter. He looked at the empty chairs. They're safe, Kurama's voice rumbled in his mind. It was unusually gentle. Yeah, Naruto thought. They're safe. Now, Kurama shifted tone, the demonic chakra bubbling up. We have work to do. Naruto took a deep breath. He let the sadness settle into the pit of his stomach, fueling the fire. He stripped off his casual cloak, revealing his combat gear. He retied his headband. He walked out of the house and didn't lock the door. There was no point. The streets of Konoha, the village was a ghost town. The evacuation was nearly complete. The wind blew through the empty streets, carrying with it the unnatural hum of the spaceship above. Naruto walked down the main avenue toward the Hokage Tower. As he walked, he passed a few stragglers. An old man boarding up his shop. A couple running toward the tunnel entrance. They stopped when they saw him. It's him, the man whispered. It's the Hokage. Why isn't he surrendering? The woman asked, her voice shrill with panic. Does he want us all to die? Naruto heard them. He kept walking, his gaze fixed forward. Lord Seventh. A voice called out. Naruto stopped. It was a Chunin, a young man who looked terrified. He was guarding the intersection. Sir, the Chunin stammered. The radio says the other nations gave up. They say we're alone. Is it true? Naruto looked at the young ninja. Yes. The Chunin swallowed hard. Then, why are we fighting, sir? Why don't you just give them what they want? It was the question of the hour. The question of the cowardly world. Naruto looked up at the massive ship that blocked out the sun. He felt the weight of the universe bearing down on his shoulders. Because, Naruto said, his voice echoing in the empty street. If we give them what they want, they will use it to kill people I can't protect. A shinobi endures. Even when the world hates him for it. Especially then. The Chunin stared at him. He didn't look reassured. He looked like he was looking at a madman. Get to the shelter, Naruto ordered. Yes, sir, the Chunin whispered, and ran. Naruto reached the plaza beneath the Hokage monument. He looked up at the stone faces of his predecessors. Hashirama. Tobirama. Hiruzen. Minato. Tsunade. Kakashi. They stared back, stoic and silent. Well, Dad, Naruto murmured to the stone face of the fourth. You fought an army to save Mom. I guess it's my turn. He felt the presence before he saw them. The drop ships were opening. The hour was up. Naruto closed his eyes. He gathered the nature energy of the land. He felt the trees, the wind, the earth. He felt the fear of the people hiding underground. He felt the emptiness of the betrayal of the other nations. He took all of it, the fear, the anger, the love, the sorrow, and he forged it into power. When he opened his eyes, the irises were a cross of gold and red. The orange pigmentation masked his face. The golden chakra cloak exploded outward, vaporizing the cobblestones beneath his feet. 9 truth-seeking orbs materialized behind his back, humming with destruction. He was no longer just a man. He was the singularity that stood between existence and oblivion. Ebony Maw! Naruto screamed at the sky, his voice amplified by chakra, shaking the very hull of the sanctuary too. Your time is up. Come down here and face the will of fire. From the ship, 1,000 screeches answered him. The outriders poured from the sky like a plague of locusts. Naruto didn't flinch. He didn't blink. He smiled. A feral, fox-like smile. Let's show them, Kurama roared, why they should have brought a bigger army. Naruto bent his knees and launched himself into the air, a lone spark of orange flying to meet the infinite darkness. The summit of cowardice was over. The battle for humanity had begun. The sky above Konohagakure did not simply darken, it was extinguished. The monolithic silhouette of Sanctuary 2 acted as an eclipse, blotting out the sun and casting a shadow that was colder and heavier than any night. Beneath this artificial ceiling, the air pressure spiked. The silence that had gripped the evacuated village was shattered by the scream of entry friction. Thousands of drop pods, jagged tetrahedrons of black metal, detached from the mothership's underbelly. They didn't fall like rain, they fell like judgments, streaking down with enough kinetic energy to crack the tectonic plate. Suspended in the air, floating 2,000 feet above the Hokage monument, Naruto Uzumaki watched the descent. His cloak of 6 paths chakra rippled not from the wind, but from the sheer density of the power rolling off him. 9 truth-seeking orbs floated in a halo behind his back, black spheres of absolute destruction humming a low, dissonant tone. His eyes, a cross of toad, fox, and sage, tracked every single trajectory. They're not aiming, Kurama's voice resonated in Naruto's mind, sharp and clinical. They are carpet bombing. They don't care about the infrastructure. They intend to drown you in bodies. I know, Naruto thought, his face set in a mask of concentration that banished the goofy grin he usually wore. There are thousands of them. Maybe tens of thousands, millions, Kurama corrected. The ship is a hive. Conserve your chakra, Naruto. Do not use the big blast yet. Precision first. Naruto brought his hands together in a seal that had become as natural to him as breathing. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. It wasn't the usual puff of smoke. It was an explosion of golden light. In an instant, the empty sky around Naruto was filled. 1,000. 2,000. 5,000. 10,000 Narutos materialized in a three-dimensional grid, forming a living dome over the village. It was a sea of orange and gold, a man-made constellation defying the darkness above. Let's go! 10,000 voices roared in unison. The first wave of drop pods slammed into the clones. The land of stone, Tsuchikage's office, thousands of miles away, Kuratsuchi stared at the crystal monitor on her desk. The image was grainy, transmitted by a high-altitude sensory hawk that was barely maintaining its flight path against the atmospheric disturbance. He's insane, she whispered, her hands trembling as they gripped the edge of her desk. He's actually trying to intercept the bombardment. Her advisor, a grizzled jonin named Akatsuchi, shook his head. It's a waste of life. He should have surrendered. Now we're just going to watch him die. On the screen, the golden swarm clashed with the black rain. They expected to see the clones pop. They expected the alien metal to crush the chakra constructs effortlessly, just as the invaders had crushed the stone's northern border patrol. They were wrong. The screen lit up with a kaleidoscope of elemental destruction. Wind style, raisin shuriken, lava style, melting apparition, magnet release, desert layering. The sky over Konoha turned into a grinder. The Naruto clones didn't just catch the pods, they dismantled them. Raisin shurikens, glowing with blue-white intensity, sliced through the falling tetrahedrons like buzzsaws through paper. Lava globs melted the alien hulls instantly, turning the drop ships into falling slag. Look at that. Akatsuchi breathed, his eyes widening. He's not just using wind. He's using everything. Kuratsuchi watched in horrified awe as a squad of clones utilized the Five Tails steam release to propel themselves faster than sound, punching through the hulls of the pods before they could even open, detonating them from the inside. It's not an army, Kuratsuchi muttered, a cold sweat breaking out on her neck. It's a natural disaster in the shape of a man. Konoha airspace. The noise was deafening. It was a cacophony of screeching metal, roaring chakra, and the inhuman shrieks of the Outriders. As the pods that survived the initial barrage smashed into the forest surrounding Konoha, the doors hissed open. The Outriders poured out, a tide of black, gnashing nightmares with 4 arms and no fear. They didn't use tactics. They simply ran, climbing over their own dead, a flood of biological violence aimed at the village center. Naruto, the original, hovered in the center of the storm, his arms crossed. He wasn't fighting yet. He was the conductor. Sector 4 slipping, he noted. More clones to the east gate. A thought was all it took. 500 clones broke formation and dove toward the east forest, landing amidst the trees with earth-shattering impacts. Down in the forest, the battle was visceral. A clone landed, spinning on his heel. Frog Q-Might! His fist struck empty air, but the shockwave of natural energy pulverized the skulls of 3 Outriders 10 feet away. The aliens crumpled, their armor useless against attacks that bypassed physical durability. Another clone was overrun, 6 Outriders piling onto him, tearing at his chakra cloak with teeth and claws. The clone didn't panic. He grinned. Boil release, unrivaled strength. Steam exploded from the clone's body at a temperature that flash-boiled the fluids inside the Outriders. The aliens shrieked as they were cooked instantly, falling back as the clone, now glowing red, surged forward with a massive Rasengan. But there were so many. For every 100 Outriders a clone destroyed, another pod landed. The forest floor was becoming a carpet of black ichor and golden sparkles as clones were dispelled. Naruto, Kurama warned. The big ones are coming. Naruto looked up. Through the chaos of the dogfight, 2 distinct shapes were descending. They weren't in pods. They were falling freely, surrounded by blue energy shields. One was sleek and thin, holding a spear. Proxima Midnight. The other was a mountain of muscle and armor, wielding a mechanical hammer. Cull Obsidian. They were aiming directly for the Hokage Tower. I've got them, Naruto said. He dismissed the truth-seeking orbs behind him to different strategic points to protect the village walls, keeping only 2 for himself. With a burst of speed that left a vacuum tunnel in the air, he dove. Konoha, the village center. Cull Obsidian landed first. He didn't bend his knees. He hit the paved street in front of the Hokage Tower like a meteor. The impact wave rippled outward, shattering the storefronts of the nearby shops, collapsing the Ichiraku ramen stand into a pile of rubble. Dust billowed up, thick and choking. Proxima Midnight landed gracefully atop a lamppost, her spear glowing with deadly blue energy. She scanned the empty streets with a predator's sneer. Where is the creature? She hissed. Cowardly vermin. Hiding in his burrows. Cull Obsidian grunted, swinging his hammer. The weapon extended on a chain, smashing through the support pillars of a nearby apartment complex. The building groaned and began to tip. Hey! The voice came from everywhere. Proxima looked up. Naruto crashed down from the sky, landing between the aliens and the falling building. He didn't catch the building. He didn't have to, for chakra arms erupted from his back, plunging into the ground, anchoring the foundation of the structure and forcing it back upright with a groan of steel and stone. Naruto stood up, the golden dust clearing around him. He looked at the destroyed ramen shop. His eyes narrowed. You guys owe me a bowl of miso pork, Naruto said, his voice low and dangerous. Cull Obsidian roared, a sound like grinding tectonic plates, and charged. He was fast for his size. In the blink of an eye, he was on Naruto, the massive hammer swinging down with enough force to level a city block. In the command center of the hidden cloud, Reikage Darui flinched. He remembered that strength. He remembered his sword shattering. Dodge it, Naruto, he pleaded silently. Naruto didn't dodge. He raised one hand. Boom! The shockwave cracked the street for 300 meters in every direction. Windows shattered across the entire district. But Naruto hadn't moved. His feet were sunk inches into the concrete, but his hand, wrapped in the golden chakra of the nine tails, had caught the head of the hammer. Cull Obsidian's eyes, small and beady, went wide. He pushed, straining his massive muscles, the hydraulics in his armor whining. Naruto glared up at him. Is that it? Naruto twisted his hips. Frog kata. He didn't even punch Cull. He punched the air in front of Cull's chest. The impact of the nature energy was invisible, but the effect was catastrophic. The armor on Cull's chest caved in as if hit by a cannonball. The massive alien was lifted off his feet and launched backward, smashing through the wreckage of the ramen shop and crashing into the side of the library. 1, Naruto counted. A blue beam of energy sizzled through the air, aiming for Naruto's eye. Naruto tilted his head to the left. The beam singed a few hairs. Proxima Midnight was moving. She was a blur of acrobatics, leaping from roof to roof, firing rapid blasts from her spear. The beams were homing, tracking Naruto's heat signature. Annoying, Naruto muttered. He held out his hand. Rasengan. But he didn't throw it. He channeled the chakra of Shikaku, the one-tails. The blue sphere turned a sandy gold, magnetic markings swirling across its surface. Magnet style. Rasengan barrage. Naruto swung his arm, and the Rasengan split into a dozen smaller spheres. They didn't fly straight. They curved, guided by magnetic fields, intercepting Proxima's blasts and detonating them in midair. Proxima leaped high, descending toward him with her spear poised to impale. Die, primitive! Naruto looked up. The truth-seeking orb hovering over his right shoulder turned into a black staff. He grabbed it and swung upward. Clang! The black staff met the alien's spear. Sparks of black and blue energy showered down. Your weapon. Proxima grunted, pushing down with all her weight. It does not matter. It's truth, Naruto replied. He pulsed his chakra. The staff expanded instantly, shoving Proxima backward. As she flipped in the air to land, Naruto was already there. Yellow flash, he whispered, channeling a fraction of his father's speed, though without the flying Raijin tags, it was pure, raw velocity. He appeared inside her guard. Proxima gasped. She had fought warriors across 1,000 galaxies. She had never seen speed like this. Naruto slammed a palm into her stomach. He held back. He wasn't trying to punch a hole through her, not yet. He wanted information. The blows sent her skipping across the pavement like a stone on water. She slammed into a fire hydrant, water geysering up around her. She tried to stand, coughing up purple blood. You cannot win. The army is infinite. Naruto looked up. She was right. The sky was still pouring outriders. His clones were fighting valiantly, but they were popping. The grid was shrinking. The outriders were beginning to bypass the aerial defense, landing in the streets. Hundreds of them screeched, surrounding the plaza where Naruto stood. They ignored Proxima and Cull, focusing entirely on the Jinchuriki. Cull Obsidian pulled himself out of the library rubble, shaking off the debris. He looked angry now. His armor reconfigured, revealing a blaster cannon on his arm. Naruto stood in the center of the encirclement. 2 generals. 1,000 monsters. He closed his eyes for a second. Kurama. How much do we have? Plenty, the fox grinned. But if you use the big stuff here, you'll wipe out the village. The village is empty, Naruto reminded him. Buildings can be rebuilt. People can't. Fair point. Show them the power of the sage. Naruto opened his eyes. The slit pupils dilated. Multi-shadow clone jutsu, he whispered again. 3 clones appeared around him. But they didn't rush into battle. They formed a circle around the original Naruto. They all raised their hands. Energy began to gather. Not just blue chakra. Red. Blue. Green. Gold. Purple. The elements swirled, condensing into a massive, shrieking sphere above Naruto's head. It wasn't a normal Raisen shuriken. It was heavy. Dense. Scorch release, Koko. Boil release, Koko, magnet release, Shikaku, lava release, Son Goku. He was mixing them. It was unstable, chaotic, and terrifying. Tailed beast bomb. Raisin shuriken, Naruto growled. The sphere turned a dark, void-like purple, surrounded by white wind blades that sounded like screaming eagles. Cull Obsidian's eyes widened. His scanner was screaming warnings. Energy signature, critical. Planetary threat level, shields. Proxima screamed, diving behind Cull. Cull activated his energy shield, a massive blue barrier. Naruto threw it. The attack didn't travel fast. It drifted, heavy and inevitable. When it hit the horde of Outriders, there was no sound at first. Just a blinding white light that bleached the color from the world. Then, the sound caught up. The land of mist, Mizuki's chamber. Chojuro had to cover his eyes as the screen in his office went purely white. The seismic sensors in the land of mist, an ocean away, spiked. Is that a nuke? One of his advisors stammered. When the light faded, the camera drone refocused. There was no plaza in Konoha anymore. There was a crater. A perfect, glass-smooth hemisphere gouged out of the earth, vaporizing 3 city blocks. The library, the shops, the streets, gone. The army of Outriders that had been surrounding Naruto? Vaporized. Not even bodies remained. Just shadows burned into the glass. In the center of the crater, floating on a pillar of earth he had preserved, stood Naruto. Steam hissed off his body. His golden cloak was raging like a forest fire. At the edge of the crater, Cull Obsidian was kneeling, his shield shattered, his arm burned to a crisp. Proxima Midnight was unconscious, thrown clear by the blast, her armor shorn away. He destroyed his own village. Chojuro whispered, horror dawning on him. It wasn't the heroic defense they were used to seeing. This wasn't the Naruto who carefully redirected attacks to save a single flower. This was a Naruto who had accepted that to save the world, he had to be a monster. He's not fighting to win, Chojuro realized. He's fighting to exterminate them. Konoha, the crater. Naruto panted, his breath visible in the superheated air. That took a lot. The density of the tailed beast chakra was heavy on his coils. Left. Kurama barked. Naruto didn't question. He ducked. A gray blur slashed the air where his head had been. Corvus Glaive. The third member of the Black Order had been hiding, waiting for the moment Naruto released the massive attack. Corvus wielded a glaive that could cut atoms. He swung it again, aiming for Naruto's legs. Naruto backflipped, landing on the glass surface of the crater. It was slippery. Corvus didn't let up. He was faster than Proxima. More skilled. You have power, Corvus rasped, his voice like dry leaves. But you lack discipline. He thrust the glaive. Naruto tried to block with a truth-seeking orb. Screech. The glaive cut into the orb. Naruto's eyes widened. It can cut truth-seeking orbs? What is that thing made of? Don't let it touch you. Kurama roared. That weapon prevents healing. If he cuts you, even my chakra won't stitch you back up. Naruto leaped back, creating distance. Corvus smiled. You fear death. Good. Ebony Maw descended slowly from the sky, floating amidst the wreckage. He looked at the crater, at his fallen comrades. Ko was groaning, trying to stand. Proxima was out. Impressive, Ma said, his voice amplified. You wield power that rivals the stones themselves. But look around you, boy. Ma gestured with a long finger. Naruto risked a glance. The clones in the sky were gone. Dispel smoke hung like a fog. The Outriders were still coming. The drop ships hadn't stopped. For every 1,000 Naruto killed, 2,000 more took their place. They were flooding into the crater, crawling down the glass walls like ants. This is not a battle, Ma said. It is an equation. You have limits. We do not. You have stamina. We have numbers. Give up the stone, and this ends. Naruto straightened up. He wiped a streak of soot from his cheek. I can do this all day, Naruto said. Can you? Ma asked. He flicked his wrist. The debris from the destroyed buildings, rebar, concrete, glass, lifted into the air. Tons of rubble hovered, turning into missiles. Let's see. Ma thrust his hands forward. The city itself attacked Naruto. Naruto crossed his fingers. Shadow clone jutsu. 50 clones appeared. They formed a phalanx. Super mini-tailed beast bomb barrage. The clones fired purple spheres of destruction into the incoming debris field. Explosions blossomed like fireworks, turning the concrete to dust. But through the dust, Corvus Glaive charged. He moved through the explosions, using the chaos as cover. He appeared right in front of the real Naruto. The glaive came down. Naruto caught the shaft of the glaive between his palms. Frog Q-Might. The invisible force clamped onto the weapon. Corvus sneered. You cannot hold it forever. I don't need to, Naruto said. From Naruto's back, a golden chakra arm exploded outward. It didn't grab Corvus. It grabbed the massive chunk of concrete Maul was throwing. Naruto slammed the concrete onto Corvus. The alien general was smashed into the ground. Naruto didn't let go of the glaive. He wrenched it from Corvus's grip as the alien was buried. Naruto spun the glaive and threw it. It flew through the air like a javelin, aiming for Ebony Maw. Maw's eyes widened. He tried to telekinetically deflect it, but the glaive sliced through his psychic hold. It grazed Maw's cheek, drawing a thin line of blue blood, before embedding itself in the chest of a recovering Kull Obsidian. Kull roared in agony, pinned to the ground by his ally's weapon. Maw touched his cheek. He looked at the blood on his finger. His calm facade cracked. Insolent beast, Maw hissed. He raised both hands. The ground beneath Naruto began to rumble. I will bury you under your own legacy. The Hokage monument, the stone faces of the previous leaders, began to crack. Maw was pulling them down. Naruto froze. No. He watched as the face of the fourth Hokage, his father, cracked and began to slide off the mountain. The massive boulders were falling directly toward the shelter entrance where the civilians were hiding deep underground. If those rocks hit the entrance, the tunnel would collapse. Coward! Naruto screamed. He ignored the Outriders. He ignored Maw. He turned his back on the enemy and flew toward the mountain. He is distracted. Kill him! Corvus screamed from beneath the rubble. 1,000 Outriders leaped at Naruto's exposed back. Naruto didn't turn. He couldn't. He had to catch the mountain, for massive chakra arms, the size of skyscrapers, erupted from his back. They slammed into the falling rock faces of the Hokage, bracing them, holding the weight of the mountain against gravity. He caught them, but he was open. The Outriders swarmed him. They latched onto his back, biting, clawing. They tore at the golden cloak. Naruto screamed in pain as teeth found flesh. Blood sprayed, but he didn't let go of the mountain. Rasengan! A clone appeared out of nowhere, blasting the Outriders off Naruto's back. Then another. Then another. Naruto gritted his teeth, tears of exertion streaming from his eyes. He pushed the rocks back into place, using Earth-style chakra to fuse the stone back to the mountain. He turned around, panting heavily. His cloak was flickering. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds. The Outriders were circling. Maw was floating closer, smiling cruelly. Noble, Maw sneered. And foolish. You protect stone faces while your flesh is eaten. Naruto spat blood onto the glass. Those aren't just stones, Naruto said, his voice raspy. That's my family. He stood up straight. The flickering cloak stabilized. It burned brighter. The world watched in silence. In the cloud, in the stone, in the mist, nobody was speaking. They weren't criticizing him anymore. They weren't calling him arrogant. They were watching a man hold up the sky while being eaten alive. He's not a monster, Gaara whispered from the sand village, his hands clenched so tight his nails drew blood. He's a god. Naruto looked at the sea of enemies. He looked at the hovering ship. He reached into his pouch and pulled out a soldier pill. He crunched it between his teeth. Is that the best you got? Naruto yelled at the ship. Because I'm just getting warmed up. On the bridge of the sanctuary too, Thanos stood up from his throne. He looked at the screen. He saw the boy bleeding, surrounded, defiant. Thanos respected strength. But he respected conviction more. He will not yield, Thanos said quietly. Not to the children. Thanos walked to the teleporter platform. He picked up his helmet. Activate the gravity drive, Thanos ordered. Stabilize the gauntlet. Sire? The pilot asked. I'll do it myself, Thanos said. A beam of blue light, far larger than the others, shot down from the ship. It landed directly in the crater, pushing the Outriders and the debris away with sheer force. Naruto shielded his eyes. When the light faded, the Titan stood there. He was massive. Purple skin. Golden armor. And on his left hand, a gauntlet that pulsed with the light of 4 stones. Power. Space. Soul. Mind. The air in the crater grew heavy. It wasn't the pressure of gravity. It was the pressure of absolute authority. Thanos looked at Naruto. Naruto looked at Thanos. You're the boss, Naruto said. It wasn't a question. I am Thanos, the Titan said. His voice was surprisingly soft, but it carried across the battlefield. And you are a magnificent obstacle. Naruto shifted into his fighting stance. I'm the Hokage, Naruto said. We shall see, Thanos replied. He clenched his fist. The Power Stone glowed purple. Naruto's one-man army had held the line. But now, the war was truly beginning. The silence that followed the beam of blue light was heavy, a physical weight that pressed against the eardrums. It wasn't merely the absence of sound, it was the suppression of it. The wind stopped howling. The fires burning in the wreckage of the commercial district seemed to flicker in slow motion. Even the outriders, creatures of mindless rage and hunger, prostrated themselves, pressing their hideous snouts into the glass-fused earth of the crater. Ebony Maw, bleeding and hovering unsteadily, lowered himself to the ground. He bowed so low his forehead touched the ash. Beside him, Kull Obsidian groaned, pulling the glaive from his chest, and fell to one knee. In the center of the crater stood Thanos. He did not look like a monster. Monsters were chaotic, frothing things like the 10 tails. Thanos looked like a statue carved from purple granite, polished by eons of war. His golden armor caught the light of the burning village, reflecting it with a dull, imperious luster. He wore no helmet, revealing a face etched with deep lines, not of cruelty, but of exhaustion. His eyes were the most terrifying part. They were intelligent, sad, and undeniably ancient. But it was the left hand that drew the eye. The Infinity Gauntlet. It hummed. It wasn't a chakra hum, which felt like rushing water or burning fire. It was a mechanical, foundational vibration, as if the universe itself was purring in submission to the metal glove. 4 gems pulsed in its knuckles: purple, blue, red, yellow. Naruto Uzumaki hovered 20 feet away, his chest heaving. The golden cloak of the 6 paths flickered around him, the flames licking at his wounds, stitching skin back together with visible steam. He wiped blood from his mouth with the back of his hand, his eyes fixed on the Titan. Naruto, Kurama's voice was a low growl in his mind, devoid of its usual bravado. Do not blink. Do not look away. That gauntlet, the energy coming off it isn't like ours. It doesn't flow. It just is. I know, Kurama, Naruto thought back, his mental voice tight. I can feel it. It feels like the truth-seeking orbs, but infinite. Thanos took a step forward. The sound of his boot crunching on the glass was shockingly loud. This universe, Thanos began, his voice a deep baritone that seemed to resonate in Naruto's ribcage, is finite. Its resources finite. If life is left unchecked, life will cease to exist. It needs correction. Naruto lowered his stance, the 2 remaining truth-seeking orbs floating defensively in front of him. I heard your speech from the ugly gray guy. You think killing half the world is saving it? That's not correction. That's just murder with better math. Thanos smiled, a faint, almost pitying expression. You are strong. You held back my army. You broke my children. You carry a great power within you, boy. A power born of this planet's history. But you are a child trying to hold back the tide with a spoon. I'm not a child, Naruto retorted, his chakra flaring brighter, illuminating the crater. I'm the 7th Hokage. And I don't trade lives. A noble sentiment, Thanos conceded. He raised the gauntlet. The Power Stone, purple, glowed. But sentiment is a luxury of the victor. And you have already lost. Thanos punched the air. He was 50 feet away. It shouldn't have mattered. But the Power Stone flashed, and the air between them collapsed. A shockwave of pure, purple kinetic energy slammed into Naruto. It was faster than sound. Naruto barely had time to cross his arms. Boom! Naruto was launched backward. He smashed through a jagged pillar of earth, skipped off the ruins of the academy, and plowed a trench through the paved road of the main street. He skidded to a halt 300 meters away, smoke rising from his forearms. He stood up instantly, shaking his arms. They were numb. He didn't even touch me, Naruto realized with a jolt of fear. That was just the air pressure from his punch enhanced by that purple rock. He's closing the distance. Kurama barked. Thanos was walking. He wasn't running. He didn't need to. The space stone, blue, flashed, and the space between them folded. One step, and he was directly in front of Naruto. Too slow, Naruto hissed. Naruto tapped into the speed of the yellow flash. He didn't teleport, but his raw physical speed in 6 paths mode was indistinguishable from it. He ducked under Thanos' grab, spinning low. Frog kata! Naruto slammed an open palm into Thanos' midsection. He didn't aim for the armor. He aimed for the soft tissue beneath, projecting his senjutsu chakra through the metal to rupture internal organs. Thud. The impact created a vacuum sphere. Dust exploded outward. Thanos didn't move. He didn't flinch. He looked down at Naruto's hand pressed against his stomach. An interesting technique, Thanos noted. You attack the spirit, not the body. Naruto's eyes widened. He tanked a sage attack point blank? Thanos backhanded him. It was a casual swat, like a man dismissing a fly, but it carried the weight of a collapsing star. Naruto saw it coming. He raised a knee to block. Crack. Pain exploded in Naruto's leg. The bone didn't break, thanks to the Nine-Tails chakra, but the force lifted him off his feet and sent him spiraling into the air. Naruto corrected himself in mid-flight, flipping and sticking to the side of a still-standing building. He panted, sweat stinging his eyes. Taijutsu isn't working, Naruto muttered. His skin, it's harder than the third Reikige's armor. It's harder than truth-seeking orbs. It's not just his skin, Kurama analyzed rapidly. He's using that purple stone to reinforce his durability on impact. You can't punch him harder than he can reinforce himself. We need to overwhelm him. Use the elements. Make him defend. Right, Naruto gritted his teeth. Let's see how he handles this. Naruto leaped off the building. In midair, he crossed his fingers. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. 1,000 Narutos filled the street. But they didn't just rush in. They scattered, bouncing off walls, creating a chaotic web of movement. Wind style, Raisin Shuriken. Lava style, Raisin Shuriken. Magnet style, Rasengan. Hundreds of clones threw their attacks simultaneously. The air filled with the screeching whine of high-density chakra. A storm of destruction converged on the Titan. Thanos looked up at the incoming bombardment. He didn't look worried. He looked annoyed. He raised the gauntlet. He clenched his fist. The Space Stone, blue, and the Power Stone, purple, glowed in unison. A black hole opened in front of his palm. Not a true singularity, but a portal of suction so intense it distorted light. The Raisin Shurikens were sucked in. The lava balls were swallowed. The energy attacks, enough to level a country, were simply relocated. Thanos turned his hand. A second portal opened directly behind the army of clones. Return to sender, Thanos murmured. The attacks flew out of the second portal, hitting the clones from behind. Explosions chained across the battlefield. The street vanished in a cloud of smoke and fire. Clones popped by the hundreds, their memories flooding back to the original Naruto. Memories of burning, of being torn apart by their own jutsu. The real Naruto staggered, clutching his head as the headache from the dispelled clones hit him. Cheap trick! Naruto yelled through the smoke. He charged through the fire, a massive Rasengan forming in his hand. This one was different. It was dark red. A tailed beast bomb compacted into a handheld sphere. Thanos saw him coming. Naruto feinted left, then used a chakra arm to pull himself right, moving faster than the eye could track. He was behind Thanos. Take this. Naruto slammed the tailed beast Rasengan into the back of Thanos' neck. Connect. The explosion was contained, directed entirely into the Titan's spine. A pillar of red light shot into the sky. Naruto leaped back, landing on a lamppost, watching the smoke clear. That had to hurt. That cuts mountains in half. The smoke cleared. Thanos was standing there. His head was tilted slightly forward. The high collar of his armor was singed. There was a small smudge of soot on his purple neck. He turned slowly. He rolled his neck, a sickening pop echoing in the silent street. All that for a drop of blood? Thanos asked. There was a tiny scratch on his neck. A single drop of purple blood oozed out. Naruto stared in horror. A direct hit with a tailed beast bomb, and it gave him a paper cut? You have spirit, Thanos said, turning fully to face him. I respect that. Most who face me beg. Or run. You fight. Thanos raised the gauntlet again. The Soul Stone, orange, flared to life. Suddenly, Naruto felt a yank in his gut. Not physical. Existential. The world around him turned gray. The burning buildings vanished. He was standing in ankle-deep water in a dark, endless void. Naruto! Kurama screamed, but his voice sounded distant, muffled. Naruto looked down. His chakra cloak was gone. He was just Naruto, in his orange jumpsuit. Thanos stood before him, but he wasn't giant. He was human-sized. Where are we? Naruto demanded, looking around. The Soul World, Thanos said calmly. Or the anteroom of it. I wanted to see who you are. Truly. Thanos walked closer. Naruto tried to punch him, but his fist passed through Thanos like smoke. I see a boy who was hated, Thanos said, his voice echoing. A boy who was alone. A boy who fought for a village that wished him dead. Images flashed in the water beneath Naruto's feet. The swing set. The glare of the villagers. The mask he wore. They doubted you, Thanos continued. They feared you. And today, they abandoned you. I saw them, Naruto Uzumaki. I saw your leaders cowering in fear. I saw them offer you up like a sacrificial lamb. So what? Naruto yelled. That doesn't matter, does it not? Thanos asked softly. Why fight for them? Why suffer for those who would not bleed for you? You and I, we are the same. We are cursed with knowledge. We know what must be done, and we have the will to act on it, even when the weak call us monsters. We are nothing alike. Naruto screamed. The water around him began to boil. I never gave up on them. That's the difference. You gave up on the universe, so you decided to kill it. I act to save people because they can change. I changed. Gaara changed. Sasuke changed. Change is a long, painful process, Thanos said. The universe does not have time. It is dying now. Then I'll save it now. Naruto closed his eyes. He reached deep. Not for chakra. For himself. For the stubborn, idiotic, immovable will that had defied destiny since he was 12 years old. Get out of my head, Naruto roared. His spirit flared so bright it blinded the Soul Stone. Crack. Reality snapped back. Naruto was back in the street, gasping for air, sweat pouring down his face. He was on his knees. Thanos stumbled back a step, looking genuinely surprised. He looked at the orange stone on his knuckle. It was pulsing erratically. You resisted the Soul Stone, Thanos murmured. Your will is formidable. Naruto! Kurama yelled. He was trying to rip your soul out. Whatever you did, don't let him do it again. I'm trying, Naruto wheezed, standing up. His legs shook. But he's got too many tricks, Kurama. Ninjutsu gets absorbed. Taijutsu bounces off. Genjutsu won't work on a mind that's strong. We have one card left, Kurama said grimly. The truth-seeking orbs. They are the power of the sage. They erase existence. If they touch him, even he should crumble. Naruto looked at the two black spheres floating behind him. They were his absolute defense and absolute offense. Okay, Naruto said. One shot. He entered the six-pad sage mode fully again. The cloak stabilized, becoming denser, almost solid light. He flew into the air, looking down at the Titan. Thanos! Naruto shouted. Thanos looked up. Naruto extended his hand. The two truth-seeking orbs flew forward. They swirled around each other, merging into a spinning black disk of annihilation. Scorch release, Halo Hurricane Jet Black Arrow Style 0. Naruto named it on the fly, though it was just pure, shaped destruction. The black disk flew toward Thanos. It cut through the air, severing the atoms of the atmosphere. Anything it touched would simply cease to be. Thanos saw it coming. He didn't dodge. He raised the gauntlet. Power, Thanos said. The purple stone glowed. Space, he added. The blue stone glowed. Reality, he tried, but realized he didn't have it. No matter. He slammed his other hand onto the gauntlet, reinforcing the grip. He caught the black disc. Screech. The sound was agonizing. The truth-seeking orbs ground against the golden metal of the infinity gauntlet. Sparks of black and purple energy showered the street. The ground beneath Thanos cracked, creating a crater 50 feet deep. Thanos grunted, his teeth grit. The orbs were eating into the metal. They were eating into the energy field. It erases. Thanos strained, his muscles bulging. Fascinating. Naruto pushed more chakra into it. Disappear, Thanos roared. The power stone flared with a blinding intensity. I am inevitable, Thanos squeezed. The infinity stones were the concentrated ingots of the universe's creation. The truth-seeking orbs were a manipulation of nature and chakra. Source code versus user interface. Crack. The black disc shattered. Naruto gasped, feeling the feedback snap in his chest. His ultimate weapon, the substance that had negated the Edo Tensei, the power of a god. Thanos had crushed it with his bare hand. The shards of the truth-seeking orbs rained down like black glass, dissolving into nothingness before they hit the ground. Thanos stood in the hole, smoke rising from the gauntlet. It was scorched, but intact. He looked up at Naruto. He looked angry now. My turn, Thanos said. The space stone flashed. Thanos vanished. Behind you! Kurama screamed. Naruto turned, but it was too late. There was no whoosh of air, no displacement. Space simply folded, and Thanos was there. Thanos grabbed Naruto by the throat. The grip was inescapable. Naruto clawed at the purple fingers, his legs kicking. He tried to summon a chakra arm, but Thanos slammed him into the ground before he could form a thought. Crunch. The pavement shattered. Naruto coughed up blood. Thanos didn't let go. He pinned Naruto to the earth with one hand. With the other, he raised the gauntlet. You fought well, Thanos said, his voice devoid of mockery. But you are fighting gravity. You are fighting time. You are fighting the universe itself. He clenched his fist. The power stone glowed. Thanos punched Naruto in the chest. It wasn't a killing blow. If Thanos wanted him dead, he would have ripped his head off. It was a breaking blow. The impact shattered Naruto's ribcage. It bypassed the chakra cloak, bypassed the flesh, and rattled the very seal of the nine tails. Naruto's eyes rolled back. His mouth opened in a silent scream. Thanos stood up, lifting Naruto by the neck like a ragdoll. I need the stone, Thanos said. And I will take it from your corpse if I have to. But I promise the universe balance. Half. He looked at the Hokage monument in the distance. Let this be your tomb. The power stone glowed again, bathing Naruto in purple energy. Thanos threw him. Naruto flew. He broke the sound barrier instantly. He became a golden streak across the darkened sky of Konoha. He flew over the ruins of the village. Over the evacuated sectors. He slammed into the Hokage monument. Specifically, he slammed into the face of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. The impact was cataclysmic. The stone face of his father exploded. The entire mountain shook. A cloud of dust and debris the size of a thunderstorm rose into the air. The safe house, remote viewing. In the land of mist, Chojuro dropped his glass of water. It shattered on the floor. In the land of earth, Kuratsuchi covered her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. In the land of lightning, Darui closed his eyes and bowed his head. In the land of sand, Gaara stood up, knocking his chair over. Naruto! On the screen, the dust was settling. The face of the fourth Hokage was gone, replaced by a massive crater. In the center of the crater, embedded deep into the rock, hung Naruto Uzumaki. He wasn't moving. The golden cloak flickered and died. He fell from the crater, tumbling down the rocky cliff face, hitting every outcropping on the way down. He landed in a heap of rubble at the base of the mountain. Silence returned to Konoha. Thanos lowered his hand. He began to walk toward the mountain. His steps were slow, methodical. The boy is broken, Ebony Maw whispered reverently, floating beside his master. Shall I extract the stone? No, Thanos said, not breaking his stride. He is not dead. I can feel his fire flickering. It is stubborn. Thanos stepped over the wreckage of the village gates. I will do it myself. He has earned that much. Konoha, base of the monument, Naruto lay on his back. His vision was blurry. He couldn't feel his legs. His chest felt like it was filled with broken glass. He looked up at the sky. It was dark. The alien ship hung there, blocking the stars. Kurama, he thought weakly. I'm here. Kurama's voice was faint. The fox was using all his chakra to keep Naruto's heart beating, knitting the pulverized organs back together. Don't move, Naruto. You need to heal. He's coming. I know. Stay down. Naruto turned his head to the side. He saw a piece of the fourth Hokage's stone face lying next to him. A stone eye, staring blindly at the sky. He heard the footsteps. Crunch. 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 Thanos was coming. Naruto's fingers twitched. He tried to make a fist. He couldn't. I promise. Naruto thought, tears mixing with the blood on his face. I promised I wouldn't give up. I promised I'd be Hokage. The footsteps stopped. A shadow fell over him. Naruto looked up. Thanos stood above him, a towering silhouette against the burning village. The Titan looked down with a mixture of pity and resolve. The sun is setting on your time, little ninja, Thanos said softly. He reached down with the gauntlet. Naruto stared at the metal hand descending toward him. He wanted to scream, to fight, to raise again that purple face into oblivion, but his body refused to obey. Is this it? Naruto wondered as his vision began to fade to black. Is this how the story ends? The Titan's fingers closed around his throat, and the world went dark.